Hey kids, this is Ivan. Today we're going to begin some reviews of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Look at that cover. That's one hell of a cover. This from the box set. This is a game by Jeffrey Talanian, who I had the pleasure of actually playing with in a con this weekend. And I actually got to play with him and with Mr. David Prada, who edited this book or series of books, and was pretty cool. And David Prada is one of those guys that has an encyclopedic knowledge of first edition. There's also some other names in here that kind of suggest that, let's see if I get his last name straight, because we are friends on Facebook. Matthew J. Stanham, who has some cute kids too, lives in Japan, another first edition scholar. So right off the bat, with this game, you know, when I'm looking at old school Renaissance games, you know, D&D type games, there's two things that, you know, instantly put me off a little bit. The first is anything that's really based on first edition. And not that I have anything against first edition, I've just kind of moved, you know, back towards a direction towards basic and BX in particular. And the second thing is anything that has like a setting that's integral to the game. And this game is guilty of both, and I love it. So, you know, I told Jeff this, he scored. It was a touchdown. I'm a convert to this game. So there's a lot to cover in this game, so I'm not going to cover it all. Other people have, you know, there's plenty of videos and reviews out there about this thing, but I want to do mine because, hey, it's my channel, for crying out loud. The game is pretty cool. It does come with some dice, which I learned some history on. These are diamond dice, and I always thought I had game science dice from 30 some odd years ago. Turns out these are actually these dice, and the guy doesn't make them anymore. Broke the molds. So these are kind of super nostalgic for me. I love them. Right down to the fact that the D20 is numbered 0 through 9 twice. It's, you know, awesome. Comes with some really cool stuff. Comes with a big giant black and white map, which I'm not going to unfold, but here it is. He made a color one, and he's actually, when I played with him, he had a color cloth one, which is really cool. It's kind of like sort of like a battle map, but not really the same kind of material, except better. We kind of you can roll it up, that sort of thing. Cloth back, color, decent, cool thing. But, you know, the game, you know, I definitely want to do a couple videos, maybe 2 or 3, talking about this because there's a lot to cover in the game. But the game is kind of based on first edition and OD&D type mechanics. However, he simplifies a lot of stuff in here. A lot of the really crazy stuff from first edition is gone and missing, which is neat. And he did a lot of really cool twists to everything. However, before I talk about the game mechanically, I just want to talk about the whole vibe and the feel of the game, because this is really, really cool. The game is really based on Pulp Fiction. This is a game that's like, when he says it's based on, you know, things like Conan, you know, and you know, Lovecraft and August Derleth and Clark Ashton Smith and that whole group of guys that wrote, you know, during the 20s. You know, I think it's Howard that was the Conan author. It's true. This really just shines through the entire product. This is not a Middle-earth fantasy. This is not a high fantasy game. This game is some down and dirty, gritty Pulp Fiction stuff, and it's neat. It has that flavor, and that flavor pervades everything. You know, if you look through a lot of the rules and everything like that, it's very first edition-y in terms of, like, you know, it has a list of spells that are, you know, straight out of first edition for the most part, including the you know, unearthed arcana stuff. There's some extra spells like tentacles, would be Ever's black tentacles, but there's copyright stuff, so it's tentacles, etc. Not all the spells, but a whole bunch of spells like that. A lot of the weapons, you know, the way they're presented are presented in kind of a first edition format, except a lot of the weapons versus armor class is missing. A lot of the 5,000 different pole arms is missing. They really did a good job with, you know, getting rid of that and simplifying a lot of stuff in here. And a lot of the rules in there are just optional. You can take them out if you don't like them. But there is some stuff where armor, you know, some types of armor like chain and plate actually do some damage reduction, which is cool. There's a couple weapons that actually, you know, are better to hit versus plate, like, you know, Morningstar. Makes sense. You don't have to use a roll, but it's there if you want it. However, if you look at the monsters, Monster List 2, very similar. No dragons, no goblins, orcs. Orcs are like the result of demons, certain pig-like demons and humans, you know, fornicating. That's pretty cool. I like the flavor. So that's where orcs come from. There's monster in there. The Displacer Beast is in there. You have to look for it because it's not called Displacer Beast, but when you find it, you know, I was like, holy crap, that's hideous. I love it. It's really decent. You'll find it if you look through the book. Maybe I'll talk about it later. There's only humans. You can't play a dwarf or an elf or a halfling or anything like that. You can play humans, and the humans you can play one of various different races of humans, and these are like straight out of the old fantasy things, like Cimmerians and Picts and Celts and that sort of thing. And my favorite, when I played this game a year ago at a con, Eskimo. And I knew this game was kind of had a Conan flavor, but then we're playing it. And I'm looking at the characters that were out there, and let me spell Eskimo for you. Esquimaux. I'm like, oh my god, I'm playing at the Mountains of Madness. I realized this because I didn't realize this game had a strong Lovecraft component in it. When you start looking through the game, it's there. There's not a pantheon of gods. There's a bunch of gods that kind of are mishmashed, and there's a whole bunch of Lovecraftian ones in there. There's no devils, but if you look through the bestiary part of this, there's a lot of what you would call the classic Type 1, Type 2 demons, but they're kind of reimagined a little bit. They're really, by the time you get up to the, I forget what it is, right before the final Demon Lord, there's 6 of them, and they inhabit around the moons of Saturn or something. It's cool. It's very Lovecraftian. There's a whole bunch. You got the 4 core classes in here, However, you've also got a whole bunch of subclasses, and some of them are pretty cool. There's a fighter thief. You can play like a fighter magic user. They have different names. You can play different kinds of magic users. You can be a magician. You could be a necromancer or a pyromancer. And I'll tell you, the spells are cool that are in here. Not every spellcaster has access to every spell. And also, not every spellcaster casts a spell, has the spell be available to them at a certain level. Like, in other words, there's a spell list. It's not divided up in terms of magic user spells and cleric spells and necromancer spells and all that kind of stuff. It's a general spell list out in alphabetical order. And after, next to every spell it says, well, this is maybe like a magic user level 2, cleric level 3, necromancer level 4. I'm making that up, but you know what I mean? It's in there. So that's really cool. Makes the book very, very easy to use. The classes are all very compelling, too, to be honest with you. And there's the usual rangers and paladins, and there's a cataphract, which is a knight. It's a cavalier of sorts. A lot of the stuff where first edition got a little wonky, he's changed. The thieves have D12 resolution for their skills, which is cool. Let's see what else. There's a D6 resolution for a lot of stuff. So, depending on what your strength or dexterity or constitution is, there's things called feats of dexterity or feats of strength, and you have a 4 and 6 or 3 and 6 or 1 and 6 chance to do these things. And there's also extraordinary feats of strength, etc. Saving throws are done kind of a swords and wizardry way, where you get a base saving throw depending on your level, and then depending on your class, you're better at a couple saves. So fighter might be better at like death type saves or whatever, etc. Thieves would be better at sort of reflex type saves. There's also modifiers to your saves based on what you would almost kind of think 3rd edition type of stuff, like reflex or wisdom or constitution. But those are 1st edition concepts, I'll be honest with you, if you look back into it. Also, the way the ability scores are handled, and let me see if I can look in here in the player's manual a little bit. It's a little bit different. Like, it's not you don't start getting bonuses or penalties till pretty high or low on the scale of 3 to 18, and they're a little bit different. They're not like completely symmetrical in terms of like where you get some stuff. Like with wisdom, let's see. Let's find strength, because strength is always fun. Strength 13 to 14, you finally get a +1 to damage. You get a -1 to damage at 7 to 8. 15 to 16, you get a +1 to hit, +1 damage. Then 17 is +1, +2. 18 is +2, +3. That sort of thing. So it's a little 1st edition-y, but it's cool. I dig it. He does use descending armor class. So the old THAC0, THAC 0, and there's a matrix, and you have an attack ability. If you really don't like that, change it. Make it attack bonus. Who cares? But I really dig, how the whole thing is presented. The setting is pretty wild. It's Hyperborea. It's beyond the north wind, literally is what that means. And so you can have whatever kind of fluff you want with this. But people were like transported from old Earth, so it's this kind of amalgamated, area. It's this big continent. It looks kind of like Antarctica, sort of. But it's cool. And you can either use it as the campaign setting or something where it's beyond your campaign setting, and maybe your adventurers get there. But it's really, really decent. The Pantheon, or non-Pantheon, just amalgam of gods, is really cool. The whole backstory of the place is really decent. He's got, if you want to get really crunchy, he's got like the way the seasons work, the way the moons work. There's a big bloated red sun. It's something where you think it's the feeling I got was it's very far ahead in time in Earth's history. And there's so much Lovecraft stuff in here, you know, that it lends itself to that. And there are some just cool descriptions. And forgive me, I'm going to go find some. Look at the pictures. There's just some wild, like, you know, that's straight out of Lovecraft, you know, crazy things. And these great obelisks, they're graven with curvilinear designs and strange geometric patterns. Whether the pillars or not remains a matter of conjecture, you know. It's just things. It's just, you know, every time I read some of the stuff in here, it's just really got me, like, you know, cracking up a little bit. Let's see what else are there. There's another, like, just really brilliant. There's piece of writing that you know, notwithstanding certain bards and shamans tap into mystical vibrations associated with the Sultan of Chaos through use of percussive instruments and flutes. These techniques are oft learned from the enigmatic men of Lang. You know, come on. That's awesome. That's just, you know, crazy awesome. Let's see what if there's another one here that, you know, look at this. Look at these gods. That's just, there he is. Ah, there's the man. There's the man. You know, just cool stuff. And let's see. What else is in here? Zathaqua. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Religious scholars, through painstaking translation of sacred mystery texts, reveal that Zathaqua arrived via Saturn, where some of his kindred may yet remain. Prior to this, his origin is extra-dimensional. Dun, dun, dun. Cool stuff in here. But, you know, you get to play humans in a crazy land. And, you know, but at the end of the day, it's low magic. It's swords and sorcery. It's not like, you know, fantastic creatures around every corner. You know, you can make it that way if you want to. But just everything here is really cohesive. It's really well done. You can tell this thing is a labor of love. So despite the fact that it's kind of first edition based, and, you know, so it's got more rules than I would normally like, and despite the fact that the setting is integral to it, I love this game. It's really cool. It's worth checking out. I know he's got like some box sets that are still left. And he's doing a Kickstarter. I think second edition is going to be available in like August of next year. That's what he's shooting for. And I think he's got some of those. The full color maps come with it, but the actual cloth map, which would be really cool to get. I'd like to get that myself because we played on it and it's decent. It's really decent. So all in all, a great game. I'll probably go into some more detail about it, but it's definitely worth checking out. Let's see. I will link to the website in here. You know, forgive me, I don't have the actual. I'm out of frame and everything. I'm looking for his website on here. But if you check out Astonishing Swordsmen, and it's Northwind Games, so I believe that's probably it. It's probably the website for this thing. Man, Northwind Adventures. Man, you can also look. I guess it's www.swordsman-and-sorcerers.com. It's a cool game. I'll definitely make sure I put that. Look at this artwork. That just makes me want to play it. You know, but I've actually played the game too, and it's a blast. It's a hoot to play. A lot of fun. It's not as complicated as I'm making it sound. It really isn't. But it's definitely, like, you know, takes first edition, puts it on its head. That makes a lot of great changes to the rules, which are awesome. Makes it a lot more playable, and also, you know, just has one hell of a setting, which is incredibly compelling. Everything from the spells to the monsters have a little bit of that flavor, and it's very compelling. I love this game.